Everyone to the OPBRA Islamorada Budweiser 100 coming to you from beautiful Islamorada down here in the Florida Keys. Hi, I'm Vince Lipari on behalf of Jeff Girardi and the rest of the Freeze Frame Video production crew. This is the final Gold Cup Series race for the OPBRA and the final APBA race before the World Championships in Cape Coral during Thanksgiving week. Of course, the national champions have already been decided, and they are in the Super In Excess, Kid Apache and Scarab Thunder. In the Open, Recovery followed by Spirit of Numancia and Endangered Species. In Modified, Agitator, Flying Tiger, and Airborne. In Pro Outboard, we've got Spirit of Houston, Slick 50, and Steel Lightning. In Offshore C, Harris, Ocean Outboard, and Special Edition. Offshore B, Power Play, Rock Solid, and CF Express. In Stock Outboard, Mobile One is the champion, followed by Thin Ice and Chiller. Offshore A, Frank's Marine, Fountain, and Scott Free. And those are your national champions for the APBA. This is the 10th anniversary of the Islamorada Budweiser 100, and we thought it'd be a great idea to take a look back at some of the great competitors of this race. There's one of them, Red Cloud, a 41-foot Apache. Red Cloud has had many great races here in years past, especially with Danger Zone right there. Danger Zone has won 12 previous races in the Southeast Division. Danger Zone is owned by Mr. Carlos Capilla. Many great battles between Danger Zone and Red Cloud. There's Wild Coyote, owned by Mr. Peter Hidalgo. Agitator, of course, is still racing and is your current national champion. And there's Enterprise. Fish Peddler. And once again, Danger Zone here at the Islamorada Budweiser 100. 10th anniversary, a look back at some of the great competitors, some of the great racing that's gone on here in years past. In today's race, as we mentioned before, this is the final race in the Gold Cup Series for the OPBRA. We have 46 boats entered in the modified production, stock, offshore A, B, and C. Race headquarters for this race is the beautiful Holiday Isle Resort. Owner Joe Roth has done a wonderful job getting everything ready for the racing officials and racing teams. He's been doing this ever since this event began. And the Holiday Isle is also, by the way, in addition to being the race headquarters, it is providing its guest docks for the wet pits. The dry pits are at the Harbor Lights Motel north of Holiday Isle. The contestants in this Islamorada Budweiser 100 include, in the modified Airborne, TNT Lip Ship Special, Endangered Species, Phantom Offshore, in Pro Outboard, Patriot, Melons, and Club One. Offshore C, Glamour Boys, Pantera Racing, Ramada Inn, Blackjack, Change Order, Ocean Outboard, Simply Red, and Team Power Play. In Offshore B, Power Play, Speed by Design, Team Thunder Marine, Too Intense, Tsunami, Pittman Photo Express, Triton, Imagine That, Team Cigarette, and Bimini Boys. In the stock outboard, we have Mobile One, Team Florida, Courageous Cat, Slingshot, Conch Attack, Bad Intentions, and Team Bermuda. In Offshore A, Frank's Marine, No Fear, Team Hog's Breath, Scott Free Racing, Twister, Off Limits, Scott Free, Team Overdraft. In the local, Super Tech, Swedish Hawk, Chill Out, Paralyps, Raise Cash, and Pantera. And those are your contestants for this 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. Great competition in store. Now, as we said, this is the final Gold Cup Series race of the year for the OPBRA. And right now, here are the standings in the Gold Cup Series. And, of course, these boats will be trying to maneuver and move up. In Pro Outboard, we've got Patriot, followed by the Forge, and In It to Win. In stock, Mobile One, Courageous Cat, and Team Florida. In the modified, Airborne's in first place, followed by Endangered Species. Offshore C and First Ocean Outboard, Change Order in second, and Ramada Offshore in third. In Offshore B, Power Play Racing, followed by Pittman Photo and Imagine That. In Offshore A, Frank's Marine, followed by Scott Free and Plum Loco. Those are your Gold Cup Series leaders for 1993. Well, as you can see, the weather is a little on the gloomy side out there on race morning. Drizzling rain, and the weatherman says we're going to have this sort of thing for the rest of the day. Now, racing officials have given this race a go. The only way they would cancel is because of visibility, and the visibility is good out there right now. The Angel helicopters are on their way. Our freeze-frame video helicopter is on its way, so this race is a go. Many of these racing teams, of course, will be at the World Championships in Cape Coral during Thanksgiving week. And, of course, we're looking forward to that as well. As for the water conditions for this race today, they're expected to be a little bumpy, so we could see some flying today out there in the Atlantic Ocean for this Islamorada and driven by John Peters. Light, and as we said earlier, this morning on race morning it was raining. Well, the rain has stopped, visibility has improved, and as you can see, this race is a go. The only way that racing officials would cancel a race like this is that if the Angel helicopters could not fly and the visibility was poor. It is not. Everything is a go. As you can see, this race is just about ready to begin. There's Islamorada Budweiser 100, and we're set for some very competitive racing today. There's Team Pantera. Team Pantera is maintained by Intense Marine. There's some more boats in the milling area. Out there is Endangered Species with Alan Steele aboard. Mellons in the highly competitive P class. Chill Out in the local class. Chill Out. Patriot. Mike Belgium, of course, the crew chief, is aboard our freeze-frame video helicopter, Patriot. Boats getting ready, milling around. There's Powerlips. Powerlips. And aboard the Pace Boat Rum Runners is Mr. Joe Roth and his lovely wife. Joe Roth aboard the Pace Boat Rum Runner, B-17. Giving a wave. B21, too intense. As we said, the rain has pretty much stopped, though the waters are a little bumpy, so we could see some flying out there today. As you see the boats rocking around there, the waves are a little on the rough side. There's the orange smoke, signaling that we are just a few moments away from the beginning of this Islamorada Budweiser 100. Another look at the milling area with many of the racing teams getting ready. We'd like to tell you that today we'll be going with the first start, which will include the M, the Pro Stock, and C Class. They'll be going 6 laps for a total of 90 miles. In the modified, we have 4 boats. In the P Class, we have 3. And in the C, we have 8 boats. Very highly competitive C Class today. Some of those C boats include Ramada Inn, Team Power Play, Ocean Outboard, Change Order, and Simply Red, also Glamour Boys and Blackjack. Highly competitive C Class. So we're just a few moments away now from the beginning of this race. Now as we look forward, we see Team Power Play, Glamour Boys, Blackjack, Club 1, Mellons, Patriot, and Ramada Inn. Boats are lining up now, getting ready for this race. And now we've got the green flag now. We've got the green flag for the 10th annual Holiday Isle Islamorada Budweiser 100. This race is underway. There's Team Power Play, Club 1, Patriot, and Ramada Inn here in the early moments of this race. There's Airborne here on the inside, now taking the immediate lead. Now as we look back, we see Glamour Boys. Now at the top of the pack there is Team Power Play, Club 1, Patriot, and Ramada Inn on the outside. Of course, we have 2 boats here in P Class. We've got Club 1 and Patriot. In C Class, it's Power Play and Ramada Inn here at the top of the pack in the early moments of this Islamorada Budweiser 100. We've got Airborne in M Class right now, taking the overall lead here in these early moments of this race. Power Play is a 33-foot Power Play powered by 3 2.5 EFIs. Driver John Lombardi of Fort Lauderdale. At the throttle, Ed Thornton, also from Fort Lauderdale. As we look back, there's Blackjack. And now, of course, here's Power Play with Club 1 and Patriot and Ramada Inn on the outside. Patriot a little bit of an edge over Club 1. Also on the outside, Phantom Offshore now in the picture. Highly competitive start here in the early moments of this 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. A little confusion here in the early moments of this race. Some of the boats are altering their course somewhat, scattering. That's why we see some of the boats going perhaps in a different direction. Hopefully they'll be able to straighten this out here and continue on the right course of this Islamorada Budweiser 100. We see now that TNT Lip Ship Special has also come in with the leaders. There's Club 1, Blackjack, and Mellons on the outside. At the top of the pack, P117 Club 1, a 32-foot skater powered by 3 2.5 EFIs. Owner-driver Carlos Aguiar from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Michael Benitez from Hialeah, Florida. Club 1 is the South Beach's hottest club, and Club 1 is rigged and maintained by Scott of Intense Marine from North Miami Beach. You're looking at Club 1 P117. You may have seen just a short while ago that there was some confusion at the beginning of this race. Well, all the boats have straightened out, and they are all right on course. Water is somewhat bumpy, making it for a highly competitive racing today. You're looking at P117, Club 1, currently in 3rd place in the Gold Cup Series. Now, in 1st place in that P Class, we've got Patriot, and the Forge is 2nd. The Forge is not racing today, so Club 1 has a chance to move into 2nd place in P Class in the Gold Cup Series. You're looking at P117, Club 1. Some of the other competitors in P Class along with Club 1 include Patriot and Mellons. And as we said, Patriot is in 1st place in the Gold Cup Series. There's Airborne on the far outside. Let's look at that again in slow motion. Here's an instant replay of Club 1 making its way through these bumpy waters. Some of the other competition in modified along with airborne is TNT Lip Ship Special, Phantom Offshore, and Endangered Species. Club 1 doing an excellent job here at this 10th annual Islamorada Budweiser 100. We at Freeze Frame Video look forward to seeing the Club 1 racing team at the World Championships during Thanksgiving week. As we look forward now, we see Patriot on the left and Airborne on the right side. They're a little bit ahead of Patriot. Patriot, of course, is leading right now in P class. P7, Patriot is a 35-foot motion powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Aboard Patriot, we have Lisa Greger, the driver, and throttleman Bob Hamlin from Huntersville, North Carolina. Patriot, P7. Patriot right now is in first place in the Gold Cup Series, followed by the Forge in second and Club 1 in third place. Patriot, the current leader in Pro Outboard. The Patriot race team would also like to thank its sponsor, Environmental Source Samplers, and the staff over at Ocean 80 for helping them out with their accommodations. There are those three 2.5 EFIs. Patriot racing team has done a lot of racing during the 1993 season. They came in fourth place at the East-West Powerboat Shootout in Corpus Christi, Texas, a third at Fort Apache, a third in Atlantic City, first in Erie, Pennsylvania, a fourth in Sarasota, and a fourth in New Orleans. Right now, of course, we mentioned first place in the Gold Cup Series. They are also fourth nationally, but right now they're in first place in B class. B7, the Patriot racing team. Driver Lisa Greger of Orlando, Florida, and throttleman Bob Hamlin from Huntersville, North Carolina, doing a fine job aboard Patriot. There are those three 2.5 EFIs doing the job. By the way, Mike Belgium is the crew chief for Patriot. He's aboard our Freeze Frame Video helicopter today, getting a bird's eye view of this race. Once again, here is a slow-mo of those three 2.5 EFIs and Patriot making one of its jumps here at the Holiday Isle Islamorada Budweiser 100. P7, Patriot. Leading in C-Class is C22 Ramada Inn. Ramada Inn is a 30-foot Chris Craft powered by two 550-horsepowered Mercury inboards. There's Airborne and TNT Lip Ship Special on the outside in the Modified. You're looking at C22 Ramada Inn. As we said, it's powered by two 550-horsepower Mercury inboards with Mercruiser drives. Aboard Ramada Inn, driver James Carroll from Fort Myers, Florida. Battleman Brian Hill, also from Fort Myers. The Ramada Inn racing team would like to thank their sponsors, including Ramada Inn on the Gulf, Sanibel Island, Florida, and also Calusa Isle Marina, who rigs and maintains Ramada Offshore. You're looking at C22 Ramada Inn, currently the leader in C-Class. Ramada Inn currently is in third place in the Gold Cup Series with an opportunity in this race to move up into second. A lot of competition in C-Class with Ramada Inn. Some of those include Team Power Play, Ocean Outboard, Pantera Racing, and Change Order. 8 boats in all in the highly competitive C-Class. Right now you're watching C22 Ramada Inn, the current leader in C-Class. The Ramada Inn racing team would like to thank especially crew member Ken Stead. Aboard Ramada Inn, James Carroll, driver, Rattleman Brian Hill. Rattleman Brian Hill doing a fine job. As we said, this is the final race for the OPBRA for the season, and in a couple of weeks or so, we'll have the World Championships in Cape Coral, Florida. The very impressive TNT Lip Ship Special M22 is your current overall leader and leader in M-Class. The 41-foot Apache is powered by two 800-horsepower Zool racing inboards. Aboard the TNT, driver John Tomlinson from North Miami, Florida. Rattleman Phil Lipschutz, also from Miami. Navigating is Mike Thomas from Miami as well. TNT Lip Ship Special, your current leader and leader in M-Class. Now you're wondering where TNT came from. Well, Mr. Tomlinson and Mr. Thomas are partners in TNT Custom Rigging Shop, which of course rigs and maintains the TNT Lip Ship Special. That shop is located in North Miami, Florida, and provides services for all your high performance and pleasure boat needs. That's TNT Custom Rigging Shop. By the way, the owner of TNT is Mr. Jack Herrick. He's from Syosset, New York. What's amazing about these guys leading right now, and they are your overall leader as well as the leaders in M-Class, is that this is their very first race for 1993. Doing a great job, guys. By the way, TNT Custom Rigging also takes care of the shooter's boat. The crew members look very comfortable in their racing bolsters. Other competition there in the Modified along with TNT include Airborne, Phantom Offshore, and Endangered Species. But right now, it's TNT Lip Ship Special, currently #1 in M-Class and your overall leader. Phantom Offshore. There's the crew of Phantom Offshore, driver navigator Bill Hill from Orlando, Florida, and throttleman Rick Turmel from Brooksville, Florida. M911 Phantom Offshore is a 34-foot Phantom powered by two 750 horsepower Boyd inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. Phantom Offshore M911. Bill Hill, the owner of Phantom Offshore, would like to thank his sponsors, MFP Technology Services, as their main sponsor for the balance of this 1993 season and World Championships in Cape Coral. Also like to thank Boyd Racing Engines for their reliable marine power. And, of course, thanks to Rick Termel, who is the new throttle man for Phantom Offshore M911. Rick Termel, throttle man, the new throttle man for Phantom Offshore, doing a fine job first time out. Phantom Offshore looking real good, right on course. Some of their other competition in M-Class include the TNT Lip Ship Special that we took a look at just a few moments ago. Airborne and Endangered Species, highly competitive modified class. You're looking at M911 Phantom Offshore in the top of the pack in M-Class. This is the 10th annual Islamorada Budweiser 100, coming to you from Islamorada, Florida. Just listen to those two 750 horsepower Boyd inboards. First time out, throttle man Rick Termel doing an excellent job aboard Phantom Offshore. Currently in third place in C-Class C77 Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard's a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 Mercury outboards. Driver is Pat Mallow from Amity Harbor, New York. Throttleman J.B. Lehman from Boca Raton, Florida. You're looking at C77 Ocean Outboard. Beautiful jump. There's a slow-mo of it. Ocean Outboard. Currently in first place on the Gold Cup Series, and we believe that if it maintains at least a third place where it is now, Ocean Outboard will be your champion in the Gold Cup Series in C-Class. There's Team Power Play on the outside. They're currently in second place in C-Class, so we've got a battle going on here between Team Power Play and Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard, of course, on the inside in third place, but Team Power Play in second place on the outside with Ramada in first place. There's Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard took first place in St. Cloud, Florida earlier this year, a third in Corpus Christi, and a sixth in Atlantic City, a second in Sarasota, and is currently second nationally, second in the national point standings. Ocean Outboard currently in third place, but picking up some space there between itself and Team Power Play. There's Team Power Play currently in second place in C-Class. Team Power Play is a 33-foot power play powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Ocean Outboard, as we look back now, still in third place with Team Power Play in second place. There we see Ocean Outboard and Team Power Play. They're vying for the lead, or at least second place in C-Class. Very close together now. Battle going on between the 33-foot Power Play and the 28-foot skater. There's Ocean Outboard. Nice jump. Ocean Outboard now has passed Team Power Play and has slightly moved into second place in C-Class. Ocean Outboard on the inside now in second place, and Team Power Play in third place in C-Class. Once again, Ramada Inn is in first place in C-Class, so the pursuit now is for Ramada Inn. There's Ocean Outboard. Not much of a lead, but it does have a lead over Team Power Play. There's Mellons on the outside. Mellons, of course, in P class, is now in second place because Club 1 has retired, is out of the race. C930 Team Power Play is a 33-foot power play powered by three 2.5 EFIs. The driver, navigator John Lombardi from Fort Lauderdale. The throttleman Ed Thornton, also from Fort Lauderdale. There's Mellons on the outside. Mellons, of course, in second place in P class. Power play on the inside. Beautiful jump by Team Power Play. Let's see it again in slow-mo. Just beautiful. Team Power Play maneuvering the bumpy waters of the Atlantic Ocean here at this 1993 islamorada Budweiser 100. A beautiful display of driving and throttling aboard Team Power Play C930. Currently in third place in C class. Team Power Play is rigged and maintained by Edit Marine. Beautiful jump, another beautiful jump by Team Power Play. Of course, these bumpy waters are making the racing today highly competitive, really putting these racing teams to a test. There's Ocean Outboard on the outside. Of course, Ocean Outboard in second place in C class. Currently in first place in B class, B1 Power Play. Power Play is a 33-foot power play. Driving today, Rich Pingree from Beaufort, South Carolina. At the throttle, Dan Weinstein from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Power Play Racing Team B1 recently clinched the APBA National Championship at the Galveston, Texas Red Deer Offshore Blowout. Now, the factory team consists of throttleman Dan Weinstein, who's the owner of Power Play Marine Inc. Co-drivers Gary Coberly, owner of Power Play Racing Engines, and Richard Pingree, who's the owner of Ping's Sports Bar. And the boat is maintained by crew chief and chief engineer Mike Cassell. With a win today, and right now it is in first place, Power Play will have achieved three things this season it wanted to achieve. There's Team Cigarette there on the outside, also in B class. It will have achieved the Southeast Divisional Champions, National Champions, and the Gold Cup Series Champions. You're looking at Power Play with Team Cigarette on the outside in B class. Power Play's B1 is a state-of-the-art vacuum-bagged composite consisting of Airex, graphite, and Kevlar. The hull is both light and extremely strong. The boat was built by Power Play specifically to dominate the APBA B class. B1 is powered by two 600-horsepower Power Play racing engines. The power plants were perfectly matched through the two Ubra high-performance transmissions to number 4 Mercruiser surface drives. The drives are mounted to extension boxes and spin-labbed Mercruiser 4 blade propellers. This race-winning technology pushes the Power Play past the 90-mile-per-hour mark. You're looking at Power Play currently in first place in B class. With Team Cigarette on the outside and Power Play's premiering season and racing in the APBA's most competitive class, they've proven to be the boat to try and beat. The best of luck, Power Play Racing Team, in the World Championships. B124 Team Cigarette, a 31-foot cigarette powered by two 450-horsepower Hawk inboards with Mercruiser outdrives. The driver, Manuel Escarda from Miami, Florida. Throttleman Carlos de la Osa, also from Miami. Navigator Jose Mandana from Miami as well. The racing team would like to thank Craig Barry from Cigarette, Willie Diaz, and Ralph Pinero of Hawk Marine Power. And the boat was a joint effort with Cigarette, Hawk Marine, and the race team of B124. Special thanks to Miami Prestige Interiors and Rich Electronics for their cooperation. B124 Team Cigarette. Throttleman Carlos de la Osa doing a fine job at the throttle. Just listen to those Hawk inboards. B26 Tsunami. Tsunami is a 34-foot suffin powered by two 550 horsepower Mercury inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver of Tsunami, Bob Bradley from Burlington, Ontario. At the throttle, Dennis Bradley, also from Burlington, and navigator is Ray Kanicki from Chagrin Falls, Ohio. You're looking at B26 Tsunami. Tsunami took a fourth place in Atlantic City. B26 Tsunami. This is the 10th annual Islamorada Budweiser 100. A lot of competition in offshore B, highly competitive offshore B. We've got Power Play right now in first place, followed by Team Cigarette. Then we've got other boats including Speed by Design, Triton, Imagine That, Pittman Photo Express, Bimini Boy, of course Tsunami, Team Thunder, and 2 Intense. But right now it's B26 Tsunami. There's our slow motion shot there of the crew doing a fine job aboard Tsunami. Nice jump. And as we said before, the waters are somewhat bumpy, but it's making it really more exciting racing for the drivers as well as the spectators, and much more competitive, highly competitive. Uh-oh, it seems that Tsunami is slowing down. Apparently some technical problems. Tsunami is slowing down. B4 Speed by Design, a 32-footer is powered by two 550 horsepower Chevy engines with Mercruiser Bravo drives. The driver, George Hall from New York City, New York. Throttleman Mike Fiore from Holbrook, New York. Navigator is Mr. John Metz from Stony Brook, New York. Speed by Design is rigged and maintained by Fiore High Performance of Holbrook, which is headed by Mike Fiore. Fiore High Performance specializes in race and pleasure performance updates, as well as new and used boat brokerage and service. This state-of-the-art 32-foot V-bottom is constantly updated with the latest innovations, such as nitrogen shock-supported bolsters to water ballast tanks, which makes rough water racing much more enjoyable. The boat is powered by two 550 horsepower Chevy big blocks, which are linked to Mercury Bravo drives on extension boxes. This combination gives the boat the proper attitude for big water. Speed by Design has an impressive track record on the West Coast, winning the 1991 High Point title its first year out and finishing first in all but one race entered. Right now, it is comfortably in third place in B Class B4 Speed by Design. There's Triton in B Class on the outside. Triton is in fourth place in B Class. Of course, Speed by Design in third. So we've got a little battle brewing here between Triton and Speed by Design on the inside. Triton once again in fourth place on the outside. Speed by Design in third. Mike Fiore doing a fine job on the throttle aboard Speed by Design. There's Triton on the outside. S2 Team Florida, 24-foot skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards. Driver Tad Kynes from Key West, Florida. Throttleman is Edward Spate from Lakeland, Florida. Team Florida currently is in third place in the Gold Cup Series. Earlier this year, Team Florida took a first place at the Florida State Boat Championships in St. Cloud, a third at Fort Apache Hooligans, a fourth in Atlantic City, a fourth in Sarasota, a first in Marathon, and a second place in New Orleans. The Team Florida racing team would like to thank Harmsco Pool Filters and, of course, its owner, Hank Harms, The logo for Harmsco Pool Filters is "Only the Strong Survive," and Team Florida is certainly surviving the bumpy waters of the Atlantic Ocean in this race. Some of the other competitors in S-Class include Mobile One, Bad Intentions, Slingshot, Team Bermuda, Courageous Cat, and Conch Attack. You're looking at S2, Team Florida. Edward Spade doing a fine job at the throttle, as is driver Tad Kimes from Key West, Florida. There's our slow-mo shot. Beautiful jump by Team Florida, maneuvering these rough waters. Crew looking comfortable there, doing a fine job. Team Florida right on course. B91, imagine that. Imagine that as a 32-foot Tempest powered by two 600-horsepower Advantage inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. The driver, Pete Button from St. Petersburg, Florida. At the throttle, Dan Dominski, also from St. Petersburg. And navigating, Alan Jenkins from Pinellas Park, Florida. You're looking at B91, imagine that. Imagine that took third place in Marathon earlier this year, a first in Barnegat Bay, a first in New Orleans, and right now is fourth in the national standings, second in the Southeast, and second in the Northeast, and third in the Gold Cup Series. Imagine that, B91. Imagine that racing team. We'd like to thank Hertz Marine and his crew, and special thanks to EFX Graphics. By the way, you're watching the 10th annual Islamorada Budweiser 100, coming to you from Islamorada, Florida. Right now, you're watching B91, imagine that. Just listen to throttle man Dan Dominski. Listen to those two 600-horsepower Advantage inboards. There's Team Florida on the outside. Team Florida. Some of the other competition in B class, Power Play, of course, is in first place right now, followed by Team Cigarette. Then there's Speed by Design, also Triton. Of course, we're watching Imagine That. Pittman Photo Express is in there. Bimini Boys, Tsunami, Team Thunder, and Too Intense. Very highly competitive offshore B. Pete Button doing a fine job driving. Of course, these rough waters in the Atlantic are testing these drivers and racing teams. Pete Button right up to it, doing a fine job aboard Imagine That. Right on course, good attitude. There you see the three crew members comfortable in their racing bolsters. 32-foot Tempest handling well. C21 Pantera Racing, a 28-foot Pantera powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Brand new crew for this boat, this 28-foot Pantera. The driver is Hector Warbe from Leisure City, Florida. At the throttle, Juan Rodriguez, and navigator Raimundo Garda. They're both from Miami, Florida. You're looking at C21 Pantera Racing. The Pantera Racing team would like to thank Intense Marine for rigging and maintaining the 28-foot Pantera. This is the very first race for this crew in the 1993 season. Pantera Racing C21. Some of the other competition in C-Class include Ramada Inn, which is in first place right now. Team Power Play, Ocean Outboard, Change Order, Simply Red, Glamour Boys, and Blackjack. But it's C21 Pantera Racing that you're watching right now. And there's the crew members. And there's a slow motion shot there of the three 2.5 EFIs in action. There's a beautiful jump. The 28-foot Pantera handling quite well in these rough waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Bumpy waters today, but the boats are handling real well, maneuvering, and they're right on course. There you see 28-foot Pantera Racing with a good attitude. All doing a fine job. Driver Hector Guarde and throttle man Juan Rodriguez, navigator Raimundo Garda. We'd like to wish C21, the Pantera Racing team, the very best of luck in the remaining part of this 1993 season. You can hear that Intense Marine did a fine job with this boat. You just listen to those three 2.5 EFIs. Currently in first place in S-Class, S76 Bad Intentions, a 25-foot motion powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards. Driver is Eddie Santos from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Alex Ramos from Hialeah Gardens, Florida. The Bad Intentions Racing team would like to thank their crew members, Jose and Alex, for all the help and support during the race. Also, special thanks to Don and Sandra Smith of Foreplay Marine. You're watching Bad Intentions S76. Now there's Mobile One. Mobile One there also in S-Class and trying to pass Bad Intentions, and it has for the moment anyway. Bad Intentions there on the outside and Mobile One on the inside. There you see Mobile One. Mobile One and Bad Intentions just about dead even there. Now Bad Intentions pulling away on the outside, once again reclaiming first place in S-Class with Mobile One right behind in second place. Battle going on here for first place in S-Class, and Bad Intentions has held its own, reclaiming first place. The Bad Intentions Racing team would like to thank Don and Sandra Smith of Foreplay Marine for all the great support and help they've given to the team, and also thanks to Scott from Intense Marine. Now, the Bad Intentions Racing team took third place at Hooligans in Miami, and now this is their second race in this brand new boat, this 25-foot motion. This 25-foot motion ran very well in New Orleans, and now it is in first place in S-Class, doing very well. Bad Intentions S76. Some of the other competition and the stock outboard, we've got Mobile One, which we've seen, just a little while ago. They're in second place right now. We've got also Slingshot, Team Bermuda, Courageous Cat, Conk Attack, and Team Florida. But right now it's Bad Intentions in first place in S-Class. We'd like to wish the Bad Intentions Racing team the very best of luck in the World Championships on Thanksgiving week. There's a slow-mo of that beautiful, beautiful jump you just saw. Bad Intentions handling that jump very well. There's Mobile One in second place in S-Class. On the outside, Team Pantera in C, but we're going with the leader in A-Class, Frank's Marine A1, a 24-foot Scorpion powered by one 600-horsepower Frank's inboard with Mercruiser drive. The driver, Pepe Ferreira from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Frank Iroa from Miami, Florida. Navigator, George Arancibia from Hialeah, Florida. Frank's Marine Racing Team would like to thank their sponsors and all the people that supported them. They include the Protec Ignition by Pleasure Craft Marine, Web-On Trailers by Torino Trailers, and Miami Prestige Interiors. Frank's Marine has had quite a prestigious history in racing. In the 92-93 season, they were the APBA National and Southeast Champions. In 92, the APBA World Cup Champions. They were also in 92-93 the OPBRA Gold Cup champions. They were undefeated in 1993. And in 1992, in the run for the gold, they were the champions there. Also in 92, the APBA and OPBRA Rookie of the Year. That was Frank Iroa. In 92, they were also the APBA Hall of Champions. Also in 92, they won the Caesar Award Academy in A-Class. The driver of the year was Pepe Ferreira, and the throttle man of the year, Frank Iroa Jr. 1993 has been an excellent year so far for the team. They've won 6 first places and are looking forward to keeping their APBA World Cup in November of 1993 when they go to the World Championships. Frank's Marine Corporation, Hialeah, Florida, custom built this boat, this 24-foot Scorpion, the engine, and also the stern drive for the racing season. And you want to be a winning team, they say, Frank's Marine is the place to be. You're looking at Frank's Marine, the current leader in A-Class, A1, Frank's Marine. Throttle man doing a fine job. Frank's Marine, the current leader in A-Class. Also in A-Class, A68 Twister. Twister's a 26-foot Twister powered by one 390 horsepower Mercury inboard with a Mercruiser drive. The owner, driver, and throttle man of Twister, Mr. Pat Sullivan from Pompano, Florida. Navigating Tom Noer from Kenmore, New York. You're looking at A68 Twister. Some of the other competition in A-Class include, of course, Frank's Marine currently in first place, Team Hog's Breath, Scott Free, Off Limits, No Fear, Team Overdraft, and Scott Free Racing. You're looking at A68 Twister. Pat Sullivan doing a fine job, as is Tom Noer. Of course, Pat Sullivan is driver and throttle man of Twister. There's Team Pantera on the outside. As you see, Twister passing Team Pantera. This is the 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. The Twister Racing Team would like to give a special thanks to their sponsor, Performance Marine. Some nice jumps there by Twister. While the weather has been not too pretty, we've seen a lot of pretty jumps by many of the racing teams, and they're handling these boats very well, maneuvering in these bumpy waters. Nice job there by Pat Sullivan. Nice throttle work by Pat Sullivan. Just listen to that 390 horsepower Mercury inboard. In second place in a Class A14, Team Hog's Breath. Team Hog's Breath is a 26-foot Corsa powered by one 575 horsepower United inboard with a Mercruiser outdrive. The driver is Todd Greger from Key West, Florida. And if his name sounds familiar, well, you may know Lisa Greger, who is the driver of Patriot. So we have brother and sister competing here at the Islamorada Budweiser 100. At the throttle is Lee Murray. He's also from Key West. Team Hog's Breath currently in second place in A class. Their sponsor, of course, is Hog's Breath Saloon. Hog's Breath has 4 locations, one in Key West, the other in Fort Walton Beach, another in New Orleans, and a new location in Cancun, Mexico. The Hog's Breath motto is, Hog's Breath is better than no breath at all. Hog's Breath currently in second place in A class. Aboard Hog's Breath driver Todd Greger doing a fine job, as is throttle man Lee Murray. They're both from Key West, and there they are. Hog's Breath right on course, good attitude, and in second place. As we've said, this is the final round in the Gold Cup Series. So a lot of these racing teams are maneuvering and hoping to move up in the standings, depending on how they do in this race. There's a close-up shot there, as you see the crew members at the controls. Lee Murray at the throttle there, you saw him. We have a problem. One of the boats in the local class flipped over and is submerged now, but according to the OPBRA officials, everyone is fine, no problems with the crew. That boat is Ray's Cash, a 30-foot Triton powered by 3 2.5 EFIs. The driver is Charlie Kabebi from Miami, Florida. Throttleman Ray Chavez from Hialeah, Florida. Once again, the crew members are okay, even though we've had this little mishap here. Back to the race now. B912 Bimini Boys. Bimini Boys is a 26-foot Corsa powered by 2 2.5 EFIs with Mercruiser drives. The driver, Henry Kletter from Pompano Beach, Florida. Throttleman Oscar Fernandez from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You're looking at Bimini Boys. Bimini Boys Racing Team would like to thank Performance Marine. B912 Bimini Boys. Bimini Boys is, of course, in B class, highly competitive. 10 boats entered in Offshore B. Some of them include Power Play, which is in first place. Also, Team Cigarette, Speed by Design, Triton, Imagine That, Pittman Photo Express, Tsunami, Team Thunder Marine, and 2 Intense. Right now, you're looking at Bimini Boys, and there you see Bimini Boys, little rocking and rolling there with those bumpy waves here on the Atlantic Ocean, making it for some pretty challenging racing. And Bimini Boys doing very well here, maneuvering through these rough waters in this 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. Driver Henry Kletter And Throttleman Oscar Fernandez doing a fine job keeping Bimini boys right on. Big jump, nice handling. Beautiful jump, B912 Bimini boys. There's S8 Slingshot in the distance, and you see a little piece of our helicopter. By the way, our helicopter pilot today is Mr. Dave Clark, doing an excellent job literally keeping on top of these boats, as you see S8 Slingshot. Let's give you an update now on the leaders in the different classes. In local, we've got Chill Out in the modified TNT Lip Ship Special, and the Pro Outboard Patriot. Offshore C Ramada Inn is the leader. Offshore B Power Play, and an Offshore A Frank's Marine is in first place. Now we're looking at S8 Slingshot, currently in third place in S-Class. Slingshot is powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards. It is a 24-foot catamaran. The owner, Throttleman, is Jay Torbett from Jacksonville, Florida. Driving today, Ken Helms from Jacksonville, Florida as well. You're looking at S8 Slingshot, currently in third place in S-Class. The Slingshot Racing Team would like to thank VPS, which is Vehicle Protection Systems, and also Ron Barnador for preparing the boat. Some of the other competition in S-Class include Mobile One, Bad Intentions, Team Bermuda, Team Florida, Courageous Cat, and Conch Attack. Now, that's not totally true, because of those 7 boats, 3 have retired from the race. They include Conch Attack, Courageous Cat, and Team Florida. So right now only 4 boats are really left in stock outboard, and Slingshot is currently in third place. There are those two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards, and there are the crew members, Ken Helms, the driver, Throttleman, Jay Torbett, doing a fine job in this 1993 islamorada Budweiser 100. As you can see, our helicopter pilot there getting very close and getting a nice shot, an overview shot. And there we go, of the crew members and what they do in that cockpit. Really an exciting race today. We've seen a lot of good jumps by the boats. Of course, the bumpy waters are accounting for that, but it's making for really more challenging racing, more exciting racing, and highly competitive racing. Throttleman Jay Torbett doing a fine job. There in the distance, a 181 Scott Free. Nice overview shot. Now as we move closer to Scott Free, let us tell you that Scott Free is a 26-foot thoroughbred powered by two 200-horsepower Johnson outboards. Right now, Scott Free is running in third place in A-Class. Scott Free driver, Kevin Brown from Sarasota, Florida. At the throttle, Steve Stepp from Sanford, Florida. Navigating is Pepper Ernest. Pepper Ernest is from DeLand, Florida. Scott Free currently in third place in A-Class. Scott Free is rigged and maintained by Creek Marine. It's a high-performance rigging and installation of inboards and outboards in Sarasota, Florida. Scott Free currently is in second place in the Gold Cup Series and third in the national standings. Scott Free. scot-free, running very well in a class. Of course, Frank's Marine right now is in first place, followed by Team Hog's Breath. And also in there, we've got Twister, Off Limits, and No Fear. Team Overdraft and Scot-Free Racing, but Scot-Free Racing and Team Overdraft retired earlier in the race. There you see team members Kevin Brown, Steve Stepp, and Pepper Ernest doing a fine job. By the way, Throttleman Steve Stepp is the manufacturer of thoroughbred power boats. Right now, he is at the throttle. Let's listen to those two 200 horsepower Johnson outboards. This is the final leg of the Gold Cup Series for the OPBRA, and as we've said earlier, in a few weeks, Thanksgiving week, will be the World Championships for the APBA. Many of these racing teams will be there competing. Freeze Frame Video, of course, is looking forward to covering those World Championships in Cape Coral, Florida. A3, No Fear. No Fear is a 25-foot Phantom powered by one 650 horsepower CNG inboard with a Merc Cruiser outdrive. The driver is Scott Matter from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Bob Corum from Longwood, Florida. No Fear. By the way, No Fear is rigged and maintained by Scott, who is the owner-operator of Intense Marine. Now, some of the boats that run out of Intense Marine are Tequila, High Intensity, In It to Win, Off Limits, Eliminator, Bad Intentions, Intense, Team Pantera, and Club One. Scott of Intense Marine will have perhaps 10 to 12 boats in the World Championships in Cape Coral later on in 2 or 3 weeks or so, and we wish Scott and all of his boats the very best of luck in the World Championships later on this year. The No Fear Racing team would also like to thank Straight Line Painting, in particular Mr. Charlie Bowden from North Miami. By the way, both Robert and Scott, that's Scott Matter and Bob Corum, are previous Gold Cup champions. You're looking at A3, No Fear. Once again, we said that No Fear is rigged and maintained by Intense Marine. Intense Marine for all your high-performance needs, outboards, inboards, racing, as well as pleasure. Intense Marine in North Miami, Florida. Beautiful jump by M2 Airborne, currently second overall and in second place in the modified. Airborne is a 38-foot cigarette powered by two 850 horsepower Chevy inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. Aboard Airborne, driver Art Gerard from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Mike Gerard, also from Miami, and navigator Mike Horn from Key West. Airborne currently in second place in M-Class. Airborne's had quite a year this year. They came in first place in Atlantic City. First place in St. Cloud, a first in the Northeast points for the APBA, first in Southeast points, and they are currently in first place in the Gold Cup Series in the modified. There's Frank's Marine on the outside. Frank's Marine currently in first place in Offshore A. But right now it's M2 Airborne currently in second place in the modified. As we said, they're in first in the Gold Cup Series and currently in third place in the national point standings for 1993. M2 Airborne. The Airborne Racing Team would like to thank their sponsor, Shutter Express, which is a manufacturer of hurricane and storm shutters. Shutter Express is located in North Miami, Florida. As you can see, Airborne is having no problems maneuvering through these rough waters. Just listen to those two 850 horsepower Chevy inboards. M2 Airborne currently in second place overall and in second in M-Class. Now there's the leader, TNT Lipship Special, the leader in M-Class M22. TNT is a 41-foot Apache powered by two 800 horsepower Zool racing inboards with Mercruiser drives. Aboard TNT, driver John Tomlinson from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Phil Lipschitz, also from Miami. Navigator Mike Thomas from Miami as well. TNT Lipship Special currently in first place in M-Class and first overall. Just listen to those two 800 horsepower Zool racing inboards. TNT, the leader in M-Class. Of course, Airborne is in second place. It's really a two-boat race since Phantom Offshore, an endangered species, retired from the race earlier on. In Pro Outboard, Patriot is the leader. In Offshore Sea, Romana Inn in first place, followed by Team Power Play and Ocean Outboard. In Offshore B, Power Play, followed by Team Cigarette. And here in M-Class, it's TNT Lipship Special. First overall and first in M-Class. C-44 change order, a 28-foot redline powered by two 400 horsepower United Racing inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver John Peterson from Key West, Florida. At the throttle, Ed Whirling from Summerland Key, Florida. C-44 change order. The change order racing team would like to thank their sponsors, who include Mara's Equipment Company, Short Line of the Florida Keys, Crime Busters Inc., United Racing Engines, and Ed Whirling Construction. Change order is currently in second place in the Gold Cup Series. Ed Whirling, by the way, will race C-44 in '94. John Peterson and Robert Marinick are moving to the modified class in 1994. You're looking at change order C-44. Beautiful jump. Nice jump by change order. Let's do an instant replay here in slow motion. There it is. Nice jump. C-44 change order. Nice maneuvering by the crew there. John Peterson and Ed Whirling. Whirling on throttles and Peterson driving. As you watch the bumpy waters, you see how challenging and really highly competitive this race has been. The drivers have really had their hands filled during this race today because of these bumpy water conditions. This is the final leg of the Gold Cup Series, so after this race is over, we will have the final standings in the Gold Cup Series. And of course, in a few weeks, will be the World Championships in Cape Coral, Florida. And we hope that you'll be with us for that, because we are certainly looking forward to covering that. And we know that many of the racing teams that were here today will be competing in Cape Coral, vying for the World Championship. You're looking at C-44 change order. John Peterson and Ed Whirling doing a fine job. A121 Off Limits. Off Limits is a 28-foot V-bottom boat powered by two 600-horsepower Chevy inboards with Merc Cruiser drives. The driver, Ingo Shapiro from Davie, Florida. At the throttle, Orestes Lorenzo from Miami, Florida. Off Limits A121. The Off Limits racing team would like to thank Intense Marine for rigging and maintaining the boat, and also Straight Line Painting. Nice jump there by Off Limits. Fine job by Ingo Shapiro and Orestes Lorenzo of Miami, Florida. There are the crew members in Off Limits. Our helicopter there getting a nice shot, close-up shot. There you see how rough it is out there. And Off Limits. This is the final boat that we will be covering, and very shortly we will have the final results. As we said, this is the final leg of the Gold Cup Series, and we will have the final standings in the Gold Cup Series very shortly. Once again, this has been the 10th annual 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. With TNT Lipship Special and Airborne there in the background, the final results of the 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100 are in. First off, in the modified, TNT Lipship Special took first place as well as first overall. In second place, Airborne, followed by Phantom Offshore. In Offshore A, there's Frank's Marine. It took the checkered flag in Offshore A, followed by Team Hog's Breath and Scott Free. In Offshore C, Ramada Inn. There's Ramada Inn. It took the checkered flag in Offshore C, followed by Team Powerplay and Ocean Outboard. In the Pro Outboard, there was Patriot, Melons, and Club One taking third place. In Offshore B, Powerplay took the checkered flag, followed by Team Cigarette and Speed by Design. In the Stock Outboard, Mobile One, followed by Bad Intentions and Slingshot. And finally, in the Loco class, it was Chill Out in first, followed by Swedish Hawk and Power Lips. Now, in the OPBRA Gold Cup Offshore Series, here are the final standings. In the Pro Outboard, Patriot, followed by The Forge and In It to Win. In the Stock, Mobile One took the checkered flag there in first place in the Offshore Series, followed by Courageous Cat and Team Florida. In the Modified, Airborne took first place and Endangered Species in second place. In Offshore C, there was Ocean Outboard, Change Order, and Ramada Offshore. In Offshore B, Powerplay Racing, followed by Pittman Photo and Imagine That. In Offshore A, Frank's Marine in first place, Scott Free in second, and Plum Loco bringing up third. Those are the final standings in the OPBRA Gold Cup Series. Well, this is it. This has been the 10th anniversary of the Islamorada Budweiser 100. This was almost a race that wasn't, because we had some rain this morning, drizzling, and well, the weather was not good, and we really were lucky to get this in. The officials said it's a go. The visibility is good, and we had a great race. The waters were somewhat bumpy, so it was highly competitive racing. It was a real challenge for the racing teams. It was very exciting. We only had one real mishap. That was a local boat in the local class. It flipped and submerged, but no injuries. The crew members were fine, so we're very happy about that. Before we go, there are a lot of people that we would like to thank. First off, the staff members from the OPBRA, Mr. Michael Strickland, who is the president, Art Krinner, who is the vice president, the chief scorer, Marlene Nicholson, as well. Of course, Mr. Joe Roth from the Holiday Isle Resort, which did a tremendous job in hosting this event, being the race headquarters. Joe Roth has been doing this ever since this event began, and continues to do just a phenomenal job. Once again, special thanks to Mr. Joe